even start. You're illegal. That hat is illegal. And it's awesome. No! How could Fox think they could keep people from wearing a knit cap? Like, you can't make those at home, you know?
Right.
I love it.
My question is, Supernatural's infamous for, like, pranking their people. Which was worse? Like, did you guys do pranks on Buffy, or was Supernatural worse?
You know, we didn't really do any pranks on Buffy. Or I wasn't part of any pranks on Buffy. We were known as Buffy the Weekend Slayer, because we would go 12 to 20 hours a day. There were so many. Buffy had stunts, makeup, special effects, computer effects. We had all of the different elements in every single show, and it just takes longer to film that. It was known that if you can direct a Buffy show, you can get a job in any genre in Hollywood, because you've done them all. And so there were consequently people that wouldn't work on our show, crew members or actors that had heard what our hours were like, and they were like, no way, we're smarter than that. So consequently, there wasn't a lot of pranking going on. And I was even worse than that. I was like very serious about my craft. And I remember asking Joss, like, I'm not on any of the gag reels, man. What, you don't like me? Like, there's a little movie that's cut together of all the jokes that are told on the set, and everyone acting weird and cute and stuff, and that's shown at the cast party every year, and I'm like never on these little movies. And I thought I was, you know, like Joss didn't like me. He's like, no, I like you fine, dude, but you're boring. between the word cut and action, you are boring. You do the same thing every single time, over and over and over again. You just cut, and you look down to make sure that you're on your mark, and then you go sit in your chair and you study your lines every time, which I love, but it's boring. He said, between the words action and cut, it's like someone released a bear out of a cage, like, you know, and then we say cut, and you're just like Mr. Boring dude, like that. No, man, save it for the camera.
But you're Julia.
It's a long day, like if you spend too much energy. Like Tom Hanks said, the secret to movie acting is lay down whenever possible. Just rest, close your eyes. Yeah. But Supernatural, dare to God. I was warned about that. They said that they would test me at some point. And the two guys were shooting with me in a house. I think we were in my study. I think it might have been my only scene with just them. And I've been warned that they're going to do something, and so I was ready. I was like, bring it then. And we were doing my close-up, and the two guys are sitting there. I'm standing there, I'm talking to them. They're not on camera. And I feel a naked foot at the juncture of my thigh. And I kind of glance down like that while I'm saying my lines, just like that, and then I forget which one of them was. One of the dudes just like, and so I was like, this is awesome. So I just completed the take like nothing was going on. They printed it, it's in the show. And at the point when they said cut, both the dudes were just like, oh, dude! Because the test was whether or not you'd freak out. They didn't expect that I would actually get a printable take out of it. So I'm a legend over there. Yeah, I love those guys. They are absolutely humble. They're unaffected by fame. They're really good to their fans. They'll actually like go off the set on their break to sign autographs if there's fans standing around. They're wonderful. Great set.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And it's me. Right on.
She looks super hot, too.
Oh, yeah. That's why they have this costume.
Well, my question is, as much as I'm a fan of all of your work, my most favorite of your work is the Harry Dresden audiobooks.
Yeah.
I am obsessed. I've listened to every single one. And for me, you are Harry Dresden. Like, in my mind and everything, whenever I listen to the books. I'm in the middle of Skin Game, by the way. But my question is, why did you not do the TV show?
because I am 5'10".
So, there's
And
really that.
Harry is 6'4", 6'7", you know? They say he's tall all the time.
They do.
I'd like to say, if I had a few more inches, we could have done a movie, man. Forget the TV show. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm almost glad I didn't do that television show, just because, yeah, because it sucked. No. The problem is that material needs money. Computers are making effects cheaper and cheaper, but there are so many different creatures and so many special effects if you really want to do it right. Like Harry Potter, man, they didn't cheap out on it. They did everything quality, and they made so much money on it. You know, like you'd think that people would learn that certain material, if you put the money in, is going to bring it back to you. And they just didn't spend the money on that. Like the character, I don't know if you guys know the thing, but there's this character called Bob, and he is a disembodied spirit. He's the most powerful character in all of the series of books. But he's a pervert. Like all he wants, he's a little speck of energy, and he resides in his skull. And all he wants to do is escape from the skull and go to porn houses. That's all he wants to do. And Harry won't let him do it. And he's just a nasty little Englishman. And he knows everything, of course. And he just mistreats him. He doesn't respect the lead at all. But he's a little pervert. I mean, it's really great. But in the show, they just made him a dude. Like a ghost. I was like, oh man, no, you don't get it. Yeah. But yeah. I love those books. I absolutely love them, and the next one is really good.
Skin Game or the next one?
What's the next one out Tuesday?
No, Skin Game is the one that just came out.
Skin Game, is that one of the ones where the world is being cracked in half and all the armies are attacking each other and everything?
No, that's almost every book. Almost every one of them.
So I'm sorry, oh man.
I think with David Sarsileone, they're going, it's like a heist job.
Oh yeah, that's the latest one.
Yeah.
Right on. But the audio is coming out on Tuesday and you're reading the book.
No, I'm listening to the audio already. It came out on the 27th.
You're wrong.
I'm not having right now. Do you want to play your voice?
It came out.
What's that?
Oh, I said it's on my phone right now. I can play your voice.
No, I No, thanks for that, because when I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and I get frustrated when the reader goes too slowly. Like, and then he picked up the sword and killed his best friend. I'm like, don't you care? And so I try to read it with as much excitement. I try to get emotionally into it. Oftentimes, if it's a sad scene, I'll start crying at the cut. You know, it means that it takes longer to get it on tape when you really are sincere about it. But I try to do that because I think it's a better ride for me doing it and for the audience too.
Well, I am absolutely amazed by them. They're my favorite audiobooks.
Right on. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask you what's your honest opinion of the Dragon Ball movie?
Say what?
Your honest opinion of the Dragon Ball movie?
Okay. I remember when I was in Torchwood, which I thought was freaking awesome. I called my son, who was 9 years old, and I was like, dude, I got the best role, man. I got samurai swords, 2 guns, I got a wristwatch that goes back through time. I love this role. He's like, Dad, do you win? I'm like, what? He's like, you always get in a fight at the end of the episode, you lose. Do you win or lose? I'm like, oh, the hell, man, I think my hat's kicking. And he's like, just next. He didn't want to know about it. But when I got Dragon Ball, he's like, you are Piccolo? Bow down to Dad! So I kind of raised my son on Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT. I think that Dragon Ball is one of the best lessons about what manhood truly is, which is to say that a man is peaceful and humble and probably goofy, and he loves to play with children, and he'll play with butterflies, but if you attack his family, he will kill you. And that's it. And yeah. And that's the main character. character, Goku, is exactly like that. And then you have Vegeta, who's one of the villains, who's short and is always causing trouble to try to prove that he's a man. He's always causing chaos to prove himself against. And I think that's what I consider an overgrown boy, and I run into them all the time. You know, they can be 40 years old, but they still haven't realized that men are peacekeepers, I think, essentially. So I think the Dragon Ball Z was important for me as a father. So I was really into it when I got the role. And they told me that it was a $120 million picture, and that Stephen Chow was producing. And Stephen Chow is the director of Kung Fu Hustle and Shaolin Soccer, which if you guys haven't seen those films, go get them. It's just fabulous. They're funny, goofy, violent, scary, everything that you would need for Dragon Ball to work. And I get out to Durango, Mexico, and it's a $30 million picture, and Stephen Chow is just on paper to fool us down into the desert. And they don't want to even pay for the stuntman to get made up like me, so they never used the stuntman. They just kept putting me up on wires. I still have a separated clavicle from the shoot because it was just gnarly. But I wanted my son to at least like my part of it. And
it seemed like a lot of the actors were doing the best they could, but there wasn't a lot to work with.
There really wasn't much. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. But no, okay, this is the funny ending to it. So it comes out, and I wanted to hit it because, frankly, we get 3 pictures out of it if it hits, and we get another chance to do it again. And then we get to do Dragon Ball Z material, and my character is going to transform into the Piccolo that we all know, because I was doing King Piccolo, like that. So I wanted to do, I wanted to like pump out and be Piccolo and surprise everybody.
And win a foundation.
And so my son was all excited about the movie, and so we go into the Cineplex, and he leads us into the theater, and I'm like, please, man, full house, please, opening day. And we walk in there, and it's packed. Smells like body odor and hot dogs. And it's hard to get 3 seats together. It's my daughter, my son, and I. And we get 3 seats together, and I'm so excited. Something in my brain goes off like, this is too good to be true, man. And I lean over to the teenager next to me, and I say, is this Dragon Ball? And he goes, what? And I go, is this Dragon Ball? And he goes, no! This is Fast and Furious, man. So we get up and we go across the hall to Dragon Ball because my son was so excited he let us into the wrong theater. And I'm just thinking, please, man, just 50 people. God, just 50, please. We walk in there, and including us 3, there's 5 people in the audience. And I just start laughing. This is so horrible. In front of your children. Yeah, so no, I don't kid myself. That was not a masterpiece.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was talking about Dragon Warriors earlier, the film that you guys are working on.
Oh yeah, Dragon Warriors. That's a whole different deal.
It is a whole different deal.
Yeah, that doesn't stop.
I think it's pretty gossipy.
Yeah, funny and dangerous and well produced. Yeah. What's up?
Hey James, I'm Jim. Hey, I'm not going to ask you about the carpet and drapes because as a redhead, I get that question all the time. So I definitely relate on not asking you about the platinum drape thing just because I get it too and I hate it. So I'm not going to ask you about that.
Okay.
But what I am going to ask you about, I'm going for the dirt. I want the juice. On set, Armin Shimmerman has made references to on-set feuds and kind of references to Charisma Carpenter being moved to Angel because of feuds with Sarah Michelle Gellar. Can you elaborate on any of those while your time was on Buffy and even Angel?
I never talked to Charisma Carpenter. I thought she was like her character, man. I thought she was like that. She's a really good actress, so I had no interest in getting to know Charisma Carpenter. I was like a punk rocker in high school, and so I was just not into that at all. And also, her character, Cordelia, was usually running away from me whenever we did shoot a scene. She was on the other side of the set for all this, hiding, Spike and whatever. So our chairs were always way far apart, and there was no reason for us to get to know each other. And frankly, that was the greatest thing about doing Supernatural, was getting to know Charisma Carpenter and realizing that she is the sweetest woman in the world. She's fabulous. She's just a very good actor. And she's known for playing those kind of characters, those bitchy characters. She's not like that at all. So she's a total sweetheart. I didn't see any clashes with her and Sarah, but I was never, like, I wasn't trying to get to know them, so I wasn't hanging where that might have happened. I don't know, man. I mean, the hours are long. It wasn't war, because only war is war, but you know how soldiers will not really tell you about everything that happened in war, because unless you were there, you might not understand, and you see the best and the worst in people when people are under that kind of pressure. What I will say is, I saw the best and the worst out of the whole cast, and they saw the best and the worst out of me, and I've come to love them all. But I've been frustrated at every single one of them at a different part, a different point. And they've been the same with me, because it's seriously, man, it's very pressurized at all times. I mean, everyone thinks, oh, Hollywood, fine. If you make a mistake, you just get another take, and they'll make you up, and they'll make you look great when no. No, you have to move, you get 2 takes, and you keep going, and if you're at work, and if at the end of your workday, the audience doesn't feel like clapping, you're fired.
Right.
That's a lot of pressure. So yeah, there's probably a dust-up, sure, but I had dust-ups too. Just backed me up against the wall one time and goes, I don't care how popular you are dead, you are dead, you are dead. He was under pressure, and I was like, okay, it's your football. I'll hide from you from now on.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. That's a dog and not a small child. Good.
That's my therapy dog. His name is Jimmy. I have a question for you, and it's from my favorite TV series, Millennium. You were in Collateral Damage, and I know that Lance is such a method actor. What did you do to prepare for your role as a veteran who believes there was a government conspiracy in Desert Storm?
What did I'm sorry, the sound here is a little bit wonky, I have to admit, so I'm going to be saying a lot. It's not you, it's just where the speakers are, they're bouncing in a certain way, so.
In Collateral Damage, Millennium episode, what did you do to prepare for your role as a Desert Storm veteran who believes there's a government conspiracy? And I know Art Bell was in that episode too.
Yeah. Okay. If you look at history, conspiracies happen all the time. Now, I'm not saying that every conspiracy theory is true, but I think the fact that they're demonized and that the powers that be make conspiracy seem insane is not borne out by history, and it usually means that to me I think, oh, they're covering up some conspiracies by trying to demonize and devalue anyone that thinks that they could ever exist. Because they frankly, from Julius Caesar getting knifed in the back of the Congress floor, they do exist. So I just gave give yourself permission to believe that my character was correct, that he was not insane, and that he was fighting for something that he truly loved, which is America, which I love as well, and I fight for too. And then the audience can decide if he's right or wrong. And I think that the script wanted you to feel for that character, not think of him as a villain, but as a really unfortunate soul who might be trying to fix the problem the wrong way by killing people. But but yeah, it wasn't that hard for me because it didn't seem insane to think that there could be this conspiracy. I'm not a conspiracy nut. I just know history, and I'm like, guys, it happens. It does. Sorry.
How was working with Lance Henriksen?
Lance, are you kidding me? He's like one of the coolest aliens. So cool. He is like a lot of really great actors. The nicest, most humble, most hardworking, professional guy that you'd ever meet. I've had the privilege of working with Oscar winners and really, really great actors, and I've learned the lesson that when you get up into the A level of actors, you get to really nice people. I'm sure on the A-list there are jerks. There's jerks in every industry, but in my experience, the really good ones are humble and hardworking, and that's why they're so successful. Because the really good directors do not want to put up with any junk. They don't have to. I remember when I was working with Kathy Bates. I think she's won 2 Oscars, and she was. I think she's in her 60s. You know, she's not old, but she's not that young anymore. She had a 110 temperature that day, and we were doing a scene. They were on Hillary Swank all day. They were shooting over the back of our heads like for 11 hours. And on the 11th hour, they turn around on Kathy and get her close up. And I'm thinking, okay, she's got a temperature. This is a first-time director or a second-time director. She's going to have words for him. And we're on the set, and all she says, as she opens the door, she turns back to me and goes, "Men from the boys, James, let's go." And I was like, I still really love her. Yeah, she was fabulous. And they were all like that. That was P.S. I Love You. Because Hillary was in that, and Jerry Butler, and I don't know, a lot of others, but really good cast. Every one of them are fabulous. Yeah.
Well, thank you. You